Welcome back to Talking Dead. I'm Chris Hardwick. We're back with Ken Jeong, Dale Ann Hurd. Joining us now live from Atlanta, executive producer Scott M. Gimple, and the one and only Stephen Yeun. Welcome. We know you guys are finishing up this season of the show, so thank you so much for joining us. It was very important to have you on. Stephen, it's out now. You finally can talk about it. First of all, great job in the episode tonight. Really great job.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Have you been in hiding since episode 3 aired, basically?
I have not been out much. I frequent a lot of takeout, and my apartment looks like a hoarder's house. So it's good.
Well, I was worried because after the episode where we weren't sure what happened to you, you texted me and you go, hey, thanks for the nice words. And I was like, okay, if you're dead, just know that you've done an amazing job and people love you and you're the best and you're a good dude. And then you just wrote back, you go, appreciate it. And I'm like, oh no. Because obviously you couldn't say anything to anybody about anything. So
Yeah.
how do you feel now?
I feel relieved. I feel very grateful. I feel so amazed at the response. So, I mean, I feel bad that I couldn't say anything to, everyone and family and friends. I'm pretty sure I lost some friendships along the way. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of been overwhelming. I didn't even know how to really take it all.
Well, what do you think it symbolizes that Glen survived this ordeal?
I think it proves that this world still can take that story of the good guy winning sometimes. You know, I really like the fact that it's not this, bent of always seeking out something miserable happening on television or something terrible and sulking on that, and rather just really accepting the fact that sometimes good guys survive.
Yeah, I mean, because you, as a fan of the show, being part of the Walking Dead community, whenever something kind of good happens, your first instinct is like, oh, this isn't going to end well. Like, you already feel like something's going to get taken away from you. So this felt really nice for a change. But Scott, from a story point of view, why was it important for the audience to think that Glen might be dead or question it?
Well, the story we were telling was one of uncertainty. When people leave the walls, in this case of Alexandria, they don't have cell phones. They aren't rocking 80s beepers. You don't know what happens. You have no idea. When they leave, that could be the last time you ever see them. And I think it was important to do a story this year about uncertainty, and that the audience would share that uncertainty that the characters had, like in episode 5. Maggie didn't know what happened to Glen. And I wanted the audience to be exactly where she was, to feel the exact same way.
Yeah, it's interesting because most of the people are very, very over the moon that Glen is alive. A couple of people are like, hey, man, why did I have to go through the mourning process? Why were you trying to trick me? Or why were you... It's like, no, if you're trying to create the sense of what it feels like to be in this world, what better way to do that than to kind of vicariously live through this with the other characters on the show?
And if you were somehow standing outside that horde, if you had rounded the corner and you saw Glen with his guts being torn out, with all of the walkers all around them, and you might have had the exact same vantage point that the audience did.
Right. Stephen, the dumpster scene was, I don't know how you got under that thing. That looked pretty claustrophobic. I have severe claustrophobia issues. Are you cool with that stuff?
I'm claustrophobic as well. That was an interesting time. One of my favorite shots that we got was kind of by accident. It was Rob, our first camera operator. He was way far behind the dumpster, and this was when we were filming the first scene of me getting enveloped, and we hit a camera in the back to see what we could capture, and they just didn't yell cut, so I just kept going for it, and I started crawling onto the thing, and we snuck a shot where it was that one where I ended up, my face was like really tight to camera. And I remember shooting that, and afterwards Rob was super pumped about that shot, and I'm glad it made it in. But that was probably the only good experience out of it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of raw meat and stuff like when they're making all
Yeah, there is a lot of raw meat.
And it was pretty hot, pretty humid, being packed in by walkers under a dumpster.
Well, the best part was you guys used barbecue pork to cover Michael and Nicholas, and they were eating it, and the day after, it rained, and we didn't clean up the pork. And then they said, hey, you should go back under there because we have more to do.
Yeah.
It was less of a suggestion and more of like a get under there. There was like flies and pork, and it was terrible.
Yeah, the apocalypse is not a pretty place, people. How long did you force them to be under that dumpster, Scott Gimple?
Are we talking about in story time or lifetime?
In Lifetime, how long did you make Steven crawl under the dumpster?
I mean, if you put it all together, you got a few hours underneath that dumpster.
Yeah, like a cool 7.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
A cool 7.
Yeah.
Damn. You know, I also, there's been so much Glen talk, but I also want to at least say to Michael Traynor, great job with Nicholas. Really great job. I know people were happy when Nicholas killed himself. I don't think they were happy the way that it all played out. But, Scott, what is the significance of Maggie seeing her sign of hope to then have the walls come literally tumbling down?
Well, I mean, it is the mix of emotions and what happens on the show, and she got that happy conclusion that the audience got. But this is The Walking Dead, and things happen.
Like you might die at any second when you're feeling even an ounce of joy. Coming up, we're going to have more with Scott and Steven and Ken and Gail. We'll be right back on Talking Dead.